What happens to people who don't fit into society, those who are misunderstood for being different? So Uta is one of these characters, introduced in the anime Blue Reflection Ray, serving as an antagonist who doesn't do much. She has no stake in either side winning or losing. She acts as a passive observer who wants to see what type of world the antagonist of the story will bring about. Offered her own fragment to a godlike being known as the Sephiroth in her attempt to reconstruct the world, but after finding out what they really wanted to do, she disagreed with their desire to erase the current humanity. Her pain is the spice of life. It's what makes her feel alive. Second Light reveals that there's much more behind why she is. Uta as a child didn't feel much of anything. She didn't know what she liked or disliked, and that was her issue. She didn't even know who she was. She didn't feel human. She felt different from everybody else, living like this day by day, year by year, and it took a toll on her. People would try to tell her how to feel and to try to understand how people and characters and stories felt when she didn't understand how she felt. Now, in those people's defense, Uta never revealed this to them, so they never knew how she felt, thus they only acted in the way that they thought was best. But it wasn't all bad. Even when most never tried to understand her, one person did, her grandmother. Realizing Uta as a child reacted differently towards sunflowers when she saw them, and thus her grandmother took an interest in that and attempted to understand Uta by investing in growing a sunflower field. Of course, Uta never understood why her grandmother did this, and that's when another side of her started to emerge. Uta's grandmother knew that Uta was unique, but eventually there would be someone who would come to understand who Uta truly is without wanting her to change. This other side of her only grew over time, eventually giving up on being understood, realizing that she was different and she refused to change who she was. This side became twisted. After being slashed one day, she felt pain, and that is what set her off on a downward spiral. The pain made her feel alive. It made her feel human, where she didn't before. And this will result in why she is the way she is in the anime. In the second game, after losing her memory, she had a tough time regaining them, unlike the others. Scared to regain her memories after hearing how bad of a person she was. Manifesting in two sets of memories. One being the twisted Uta, and the other being this new Uta, who now desires to change and be better. But because of this, they are incompatible. She feels like she doesn't deserve forgiveness for her actions, and that she'll never be understood. The two conflicting sides made her heartscape unstable, causing the group to have to revisit it a much later time, and even considering not getting her memories back. This crack in the world that was caused because of her instability weakens the world in which they inhabit. The boss that appears that represents Uta shows two individuals that are connected with one body, one entity with two sides. I used to feel very indifferent towards Uta, but after playing Second Light, it actually made me like her. She is probably one of the better characters out of the whole Blue Reflection Ray cast. Prior, I would say she was definitely towards the bottom. At the end of the day, Uta reminds me that even the worst people out there don't start out bad, and sometimes being alone can only make people even worse. And sometimes people like her just need somebody to stand by them, to not let them go crazy, to talk to them, to listen to what they have to say, and even set them on the right path when needed. They need somebody that will be there, who will try to understand who they are. And in Uta's case, this is Hiyori, which means Uta can now go down a better and brighter path.